Hello viewers. Today I have a vintage Lasko 3733 from the late 90s, specifically 1997. This fan has appeared in several other previous videos. For full background, check out on this channel the Lasko 3733, I think it's titled Rebuilt But Still Loved. And that's really to summarize it. This thing has a lot of hours on it. Cabinet's been repainted. The guts of the motor have been serviced and parts replaced. These are not the original D blades, as speculated. I think these came from the fellow enthusiast who sent them to me. I think they came from like an 80s vintage Lasko. You could tell by the center and the opening that's not a standard for this fan. But in the story I tell on that, I did crack the original blades, pulling them off during one of the servicing. So somebody helped me out because we know the more modern style Lasko blades, they don't, they have a different size shaft, so they will not fit on what would be, to me, a more standardized shaft on the older one, although most modern fans now have the smaller shaft. So on the right, this fan has showed up in multiple videos. Actually, I think just one or two videos, maybe one. Let's see here, trying to get to the information. Sorry, block the camera. It's really difficult to see the year. I'm having a hard time seeing the year. It's kind of like rubbed out here, but usually there's a date range. For the enthusiasts out there, maybe you can let me know when this showed up in another video, kind of a checkout video. I think I incorrectly spoke and called it Weather Shield, and I think I was I think I was corrected in the comments is what I'm getting at. Weather Shield, Power Plus, whatever you want to call it. It's a good fan. I really like it. I didn't think much of it because in the story I tell, I acquired this one with a Robeson, and in order to get the Robeson, I had to get this one too. And at the time, I was like, yeah, whatever, you know. And I didn't have much experience with these, but it turns out I really dig them. Thing is powerful. The reason I'm doing this video is I was kind of messing around lately with my Laskos and other videos and whatnot. I was comparing the older 3733 to a newer 3733 and just kind of talking about the changes. And it dawned on me, because this fan is at this location as well, and I thought, you know, from just a sheer size standpoint, it's really more comparable to the older 3733. I should imagine this is like circa 2000. I can't see the date code under there. I should imagine it's circa like mid-2000s, 05, 09, 2010, somewhere in there. But again, somebody who knows more than me, that would be great to know in the comments. So by then, I think the 3733s in the mid-2000s, the cabinets were starting to change, and they by then had switched to these skinnier pointed blades. And I've always talked about how I was never, no pun intended, fan of those types of blades. It dawned on me recently the reason why, especially in the new 3733s. I feel that the hub is disproportionately too big for the size skimpy blades that they put on them. Where if you look at the D blade on the left, you know, there's some space on the blades, some surface, and it kind of fits well with the size of the hub. Where on the new ones, the hub just looks like it's still the same size, but it has these skinnier blades. It just doesn't look right to me. And if the blades had more of a banana style, like for the Medea or SMC box fans that have those super skinny blades, but they're more of like a banana style blade, so it looks okay. But just these straight pointy things that stick out and they're not very big. Anyway, I'm going on way too much. So performance wise, the Lasko on the right is going to kill the 3733. and it hurts me to say that because I have owned this fan since brand new in 1997 and put a lot of hours on it. I do think when it was brand new, or in the first few years, the power output of it, or the performance of it, might have rivaled that. But for whatever reason, and I've seen this on other channels, these things actually lose performance over time, even if you service them perfectly. I am not perfect, but others are perfect in my mind. Other collectors I look up to who have serviced them and have noticed a drop off in performance regardless of what they do. Replace the switch, service the bearings, oil the bearings, clean the shaft, run it for a number of hours, repeat, do it again, almost like a break-in. For whatever reason, these Marco motor 3733s do that, I guess. And this is not the first one that's done that. I still use it as this summer I've been using it as a daily runner. So let's just, for fun, this is all for fun, let's compare. These handles are notorious for breaking, and this is a perfect example of a broken handle. I do like these switches definitely better than the new 3733s, where there's just like cheap, like thin plastic. I talked about in the video for this, I love these switches. They remind me of the Thin and Lights minus the ring, and I do like the ring on them. I just always liked them, even when they were new. And when they switched to that style, I'm old enough to remember when they switched to that style, I thought, I dig it, I like it. So let's give you low. It's gonna look like that hub is wobbling. It is not. There's like dirt or like a stain on part of the hub that gives it the appearance, and of course in the center, the opening is not an exact circle, so it gives it like a wobble. So kind of a typical low, quiet. There's a little decent air. I would say there's more air coming off. The advantage it has the wind ring, or whatever you call the guard, and that's because I'm standing to the left of the 3733, and I can feel air like I'm in front of it, so it's kind of cool. All right, let's do medium. And this has a distinct Lasko motor sound too. Not a huge difference, I have noticed with this fan, when it runs, it needs to run to come up to speed. Because there's times I put it on and it's just super quiet, super slow, then it gradually gets louder and faster. Maybe somebody can explain why that happens, aside from just like, oh, the motor needs to warm up, but why does that happen on these fans sometimes? Again, I can feel the air off to the side. So we've got medium. So I think medium is close to being about right for this fan. Again, ignore what is the simulated wobble on the hub with the dirt and the opening. It does look like it's bouncing, but if you really look at the fan, I mean, the fan is just not moving. It's rock solid. So I would say we might have a draw on medium. I feel like this moves a little faster, but this has the advantage of the gate. So maybe let's call it a draw. I want to tip my hat towards this one, but I think that's me being biased because I just this fan has a lot of sentimental value because it's known me since I was a teenager. All right, let's go to high. I have said this before with this fan. And it was always kind of a feeling I had. I thought it was unique kind of to my fan, but I do feel like high is just missing. It's like a half step slower than what it used to be when it was new. And even after I essentially resurfaced or retooled it by replacing some of the components on the inside of the shaft, redoing the bearings, because the original shaft was scorned. After redoing all of that, it never brought it back to 100% factory. But it still moves a lot of air, it still feels good. It kind of has, you can kind of hear this like Lasko hum to it. It hasn't been a problem, I'm just going to keep an eye on it. But I can't tell you when I first rebuilt this thing, I had to re-oil it, I think 2 or 3 times. I'd run for hours and I noticed it seemed like it, if you will, drank the oil. And then ran it again for a number of hours after I re-oiled it, and then it stiffened up again. And then finally, after the 3rd time of that cycle, it was fine. I've never seen that before. I almost felt like this, it was like when I rebirthed this Lasko, it's like it needed a break-in period. All right, this is where I think this one on the right here is gonna take the prize. Ready? The way this sounds is how this used to sound when it was new, the first few years. That's what I mean by this is like half a step slower, like we all are as we age, than this. But this is not a new fan either. This has been around, and it doesn't have that drop off. So if I'm judging this, and my fellow YouTubers out there can also judge along with me, while the one on the left is my nostalgic favorite, always will be loved, the one on the right, I really like that fan too, has won this bout. It is, and I don't have my meter with me. I keep saying that in my recent videos. I don't have my meter with me because it would be interesting to look at the energy draw on both of these, and maybe that could tell a little bit of a story on the one on the left. But for now, we have a winner over here. This definitely has way less hours than this one. So there's that. This one's also been essentially rebuilt. This one's all original. In fact, since I've owned it, since I've acquired it, I haven't oiled it yet. So it hasn't even gone through one of my servicings, and it's getting to the point where it needs to be cleaned because it's getting hours this year. It was put into service last year, and then this is 2nd year full-time service, so it really needs to be serviced itself. So quick look at the backside and a comparison, and the feet on this I think are not actually used as regular feet. So both of these, as we know, have feet that you can attach, and and I don't have them on. They're long gone. I don't have them on, but I should point out, unlike a new 3733, which would probably fall over, these were just performing on high without their feet, and no problem. It's like they've manufactured and made them so skinny and so light on the new ones that they now have to have the feet. All right. Noticeable differences is the guard. I just don't think this is attractive. I understand the point of it. I absolutely understand the point of it, but I always like to see the motor. And then the support bars are really the same. And the motor, if someone could tell me, is this still a Marco motor? From looking into it, it looks like it, but if somebody could tell me if it's still a Marco motor. They sound similar. And what is also interesting, I pointed out on the video somewhere at some point that while I was looking at one of the Cool Colors fans, Cool Colors has the weather ring on the front, but on the back it has a traditional guard. And I commented in the video, it's like they cheaped out. They went with the normal 3733 grill in the back and then gimmicked up the front. But in this case, it serves a purpose on both sides, pulling the air into the fan from a wider, I guess, field of vision. So it moves more air from a wider area. Pretty cool. So we'll turn it on. I'm just trying to feel how. It's kind of warm. Not hot, but this was running in the window before the video, so it's. There's definitely more of a kind of like a hum coming from him, but they do sound similar. This is a powerful fan. I really like it. I really like it. So again, I accidentally kind of acquired that on my way to a Robeson, and turns out I'm very grateful to get that fan, and it's gonna get some TLC. Now you could look at the spin down on that. I turned that off before that one. This is telling me it's gonna need a little oil, but this, I mean. So I know I don't have any bearing issue here. It's well oiled. And the last thing I want to do before we say goodbye is the other reason I like this is it still has a wide cabinet, and I should get out my tape measure. I need to be more scientific with my meter and my tape measure. So it seems to be just a hair now narrower. This is a pretty heavy fan. I used to think it is light compared to like P223s and whatnot. I remember getting this brand new, and I tell the story, I bought two of these brand new at the time. Unfortunately, the other one is no longer with us. But this still has some weight to it. It still feels like a real fan, unlike the garbage today. So both of these are still substantial. So late 90s, guessing 05 to 010, 12, somewhere in there. Somebody let me know. So thanks for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe. If you like box fans, check out the channel. If you like Laskos, I've done a number of videos on Lasko. I have a number of Lasko fans to still do videos on, so stay tuned to those. Got some fun comparisons. Do you like these old guys with the Marco motor? Do you think these are the last of the good fans made, or do you think they already cheapened out by the time they got to these in the late 90s and into the 2000s? So before we go, I will leave you with the fans saying goodbye. See you next time.